9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power and liftoff of Crew 6. Go Dragon, go Falcon.
Now launching on Endeavour's fourth flight to the International Space Station. Vehicles pitching down range, 1.7 million pounds of thrust provided by the 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. Hearing good calls, stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
We're now at T plus 34 seconds into the 6th rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Stage 1 throttle down.
So there we heard the call out indicating that the first stage engines will begin to throttle down in preparation for max Q, which is the moment of maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle will experience during flight.
Vehicle is supersonic.
That call out there indicating the vehicle's traveling faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q.
Stage 1 throttle up.
All right, now that we're past max Q.
1 Bravo.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
That 1 Bravo indicator are different abort modes that are called that allow the ground teams and the crew to track about the position of the Falcon 9 and the Dragon as they make their way up the eastern seaboard. In the event of an abort, these different abort modes would indicate about the position where Dragon would land,
started.
as well as indicate what series of maneuvers Dragon would indicate. But so far we're hearing good calls on the performance of the Falcon 9 on its ride uphill. 1 minute 53 seconds into flight.
We're about 30 seconds away from main engine cutoff, which will be followed quickly by stage separation and second engine start, which is the ignition of that MVAC engine on the second stage. Now about 10 seconds away from main engine cutoff.
Two Alpha.
Copy, 2
Stage
Alpha.
separation confirmed.
There you can see on your screen confirmation of stage separation as well as ignition of that second stage engine. Second stage is now carrying the Crew 6 astronauts to orbit. Beautiful view there on the left-hand side of your screen coming from the first stage, which, as you can see, is still gaining in altitude. It has not yet reached its apogee. A beautiful view of the Florida Space Coast there in the background.
SpaceX Dragon copy, hard capture complete.
Four, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power and liftoff of Starlink. Go Falcon, go Starlink.
Vehicles pitching downrange. At T plus 30 seconds, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Vandenberg Space Launch Complex 4 East at 10:38 a.m. Pacific Time.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Falcon is supersonic.
With that call out, we've heard that Falcon 9 is traveling faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q.
You just heard the call out for Max Q. This means that the vehicle is currently experiencing the greatest amount of external stresses as it ascends through the Earth's atmosphere. Now we're just over a minute away from a series of events that are going to take place back to back. These are going to be main engine cutoff, or MECO, stage separation, second engine start 1, and fairing separation. During MECO, all 9 of the Merlin 1D engines on board the first stage booster will shut down. Then stage separation is when the first and second stages of Falcon 9 separate. Second engine start 1, or SES-1 for short, is where we light the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage for the first time. And fairing separation is when the 2 fairing halves separate and fall away from the second stage before making their way back to Earth. Keep an eye out for these events happening in quick succession and listen closely for the callouts on the nets.
MECO?
Stage separation confirmed.
And MVAC ignition.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Stage 1 landing burn.
And there's confirmation that the Stage 1 landing burn has started in preparation for touchdown on our drone ship. Of course, I still love you.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
MVAC check.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
As I'm sure you just heard and saw, Falcon 9 has
Nominal orbit
successfully
insertion.
landed on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, in the Pacific Ocean. This marks our 176th overall landing of an orbital class rocket, including Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy missions.
4, 3, 2, 1. Just full power. And liftoff. OneWeb 3.
Vehicle's pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Nominal power and telemetry.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral, carrying the
Vehicle is
OneWeb
supersonic.
Launch 17 payload. Now we're still going up, but we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. And coming up in just a few seconds here, we will be approaching the point of max Q. There we go, call out for that there. At the point of max Q, we throttle the Merlin 1D engines down briefly to reduce the loads on the vehicle. We've now throttled the engines back up to full power, and this will help us continue to accelerate towards low Earth orbit. The rocket typically needs to go about 17,500 miles per hour.
MVAC engine chill has started.
Good call out there for MVAC engine chill. We need to go about 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and actually get into orbit. So keep an eye on that stage 1 telemetry at the bottom of your screen. Now coming up, we're going to have 5 events in very quick succession. Those are main engine cutoff, or MECO, stage separation, stage 1 flip, second engine start 1, boost back burn, and then from there, the fairing halves will separate. So keep an eye out for those events. Again, starting with main engine cutoff, coming up on that point in just about 15 seconds here, so let's listen in for that.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
And there you
Dragon Endurance coming closer and closer. And as you just saw, splashdown of Crew 5.
157 days in space.
SpaceX Dragon splashdown names have been released.
Copy, Dragon. We concur with splashdown and mains released. Dragon Endurance, on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
As you can see on your screen, visual confirmation for splashdown.
Thank you, SpaceX. That was one heck of a ride. We're happy to be home. Looking forward to next time.
It's about 16 miles per hour. So they have obviously lifted Dragon. They are placing it in that nest. They'll secure it there and remove some of those attachment points before moving it toward the egress platform.
Now we can see some waters held in what looks like a kind of like a bucketed area there underneath the side hatch. That is the location of where the main parachutes are stored. So all 4 of those main parachutes are tightly packed and placed in that cubby, basically, and we can see water draining from it now.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Start of our stage 1 landing burn. That's great drone footage of the first stage that you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. Incredible views from first stage coming down on
Stage
landing
1
zone.
land and lift deploy.
That was a beautiful landing.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Beautiful.
Four, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power, and liftoff of CRS-27. Go Falcon, go Dragon.
Falcon 9 soars off the launch pad. Dragon now on its way to the International Space Station with important new science experiments and crew supplies.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is nominal.
Plus 40 seconds, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from historic launch complex 39A in Florida. We're now coming up on our max Q in about 20 seconds or so, which is the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure the vehicle will go through during its flight.
Sonic. Max Q.
And there's that call out for max Q. Coming up next are 5 events back-to-back. First is main engine cutoff, or MECO, which is when all 9 of the Merlin 1D engines on the first stage will shut down. After those 9 engines shut down, the first and second stages will separate, also called out over the nets as stage separation. Then the first stage will flip. Then the first stage will flip around to make its way back to its landing site, the drone ship named a shortfall of gravitas. The second stage will then ignite its Merlin vacuum engine to boost Dragon to low Earth orbit during SES-1. And the last event is the boost back burn to reduce velocity of the first stage in preparation for atmospheric entry. And this whole sequence will take place over about 30 seconds or so. Now we should be hearing that call out for main engine cutoff in about 20 seconds from now. Wonderful tracking shot of our rocket.
Nico. Stage separation confirmed. Back ignition.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
And there's all of those callouts for those milestones. So we had MECO, stage separation, a stage 1 flip, second engine start 1, and the start of the partial boost back burn. While a boost back burn is normally performed in order to return the first stage to one of our landing zones, here we are just performing a partial boost back. This shortened burn, possible due to payload weight, will allow us to recover the Falcon 9 booster much closer to the coast and shorten the drone ship's journey back to shore by about 1.5 to 2 days.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
And there's confirmation of boost back shutdown. If you're just tuning in, you're watching a live webcast for the 27th commercial resupply mission to the International Space Station for NASA.
Stage 1 landing burn.
And there's the start of that first stage landing burn on the left side of your screen.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
And there you saw the Falcon 9 first stage successfully
Stage
land,
1
and you can probably
confirmed.
hear the cheering behind me. The Falcon 9 first stage that supported today's mission landed for the 7th time, having previously supported Amazonas Nexus, SES-22, iSpace's Hakuto R Mission 1, and 3 Starlink missions. Today's landing also marks the 178th successful landing for an orbital-class rocket. As mentioned previously, today's
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power. And liftoff from Starlink 2-8. Go Falcon, go Starlink.
Vehicle is pitching down range.
At T plus 30 seconds, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Vandenberg's Space Launch Complex 4 East at 12:26 p.m. Pacific Time. This is our 5th launch from Vandenberg just this year.
Power and telemetry nominal. Falcon 9 is supersonic.
With that call out, Falcon 9 is now traveling faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q.
And there you heard that call out for Max Q. This means that the vehicle is currently experiencing the greatest amount of external stresses as it ascends through Earth's atmosphere on its way to space. Now we're just about 1 minute away from a series of events: MECO, stage sep, SES-1, and fairing separation. MECO, or main engine cutoff, is where all 9 of the Merlin 1D engines on the first stage shut down. Stage separation is when the first and second stages separate. SES-1, or second engine start 1, is where we light the single Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage. And fairing separation is when those 2 fairing halves separate and fall away from the second stage. Keep an eye out for those events because they're going to be happening in rather quick succession.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
And back ignition.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there you have those events. Again, that was MECO, stage sep, SES-1, and as you saw, fairing separation. We'll be attempting to recover both fairing halves using our recovery vessel, NRC Quest. Both of the fairing halves flying on today's missions are flight proven and are flying for the 5th time.
Stage 1 landing burn.
And there's that confirmation that the Stage 1 landing burn has begun in preparation for touchdown on our drone ship. Of course, I still love you. Just coming into frame now on the left-hand side of your screen.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Falcon 9 has successfully landed on our drone ship. Of course, I still love you in the Pacific Ocean. This marks our 179th overall landing of an orbital class rocket, including F9 and Falcon Heavy missions.
4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, liftoff.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T-minus 42 seconds into the mission, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from pad 40. And we are preparing for max Q, coming up in about 20 seconds. That is the moment in which the vehicle experiences the greatest amount of aerodynamic pressure. Everything looking good with vehicle performance and trajectory.
Max Q.
All right, there's that call telling us that we're now past the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure. We also heard the call out a few seconds before that for Mach 1, telling us that the vehicle is traveling faster than the speed of sound. Coming up, we have 3 events happening in quick succession for those of you that have watched our webcast.
Engine chill has started.
Those familiar with our webcast, this will be very familiar. We have main engine cutoff, or MECO, stage separation, and SES-1, or second engine start 1. Main engine cutoff is where all 9 M1D engines, which you see right now fully lit, they will shut down, and that will help slow the vehicle down in preparation for the next event, which is stage separation. And that's where the first stage...
Vehicle is following a nominal trajectory.
First stage will separate from the second stage. Right after stage separation, the first stage will start its journey back to Earth, targeting a landing on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. During that time, stage 2 will continue on its journey with the third event, second engine start 1 or SES-1, and that's where we will light the single MVAC engine, and it will propel the second stage along with the SES-18.
Main engine cutoff.
Confirm stage separation.
MVAC ignition.
All right, there we can see a really neat shot of the first stage looking at the second stage looking at the first stage. There's a beautiful view of both of those stages, one behind the other. The one towards the bottom of your screen, that is the second stage with the MVAC engine now lit.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
We're expecting fairing separation in about 7 seconds.
Confirmed fairing separation.
And there we can see those fairing halves have separated. This was the 7th flight. And there we can see the landing burn has begun, as well as that second engine cutoff confirmed.
Nominal parking orbit.
And we just heard the call out for
Stage
good
1
orbit.
landing light deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
This marks SpaceX's 180th successful recovery of an orbital class rocket and the 6th landing for this particular booster, having previously supported CRS-24, Eutelsat Hotbird 13F, OneWeb 1, and 2 Starlink missions. And as we heard just
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Engines full power and liftoff of Starlink. Go Falcon, go Starlink.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
At T plus 30 seconds, F9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40 from the Cape at 11:43 a.m. Eastern Time.
MOD tier pressures are nominal.
Nominal power and telemetry. Falcon 9 is supersonic.
You just heard the call out that Falcon 9 is supersonic, which means the vehicle is traveling faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q.
And there you just heard the call out for Max Q, which is the point at which the vehicle experiences the greatest amount of external stress as it ascends through the Earth's atmosphere. We're now about 1 minute away from a series of events: MECO, stage sep, SES-1, and fairing separation. MECO, or main engine cutoff, is when all 9 of the Merlin engines on the first stage shut down. Stage separation is when the first and second stages separate from one another. SES-1, or second engine start 1, is where we light the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage. And fairing separation is when the 2 fairing halves separate and fall away from the second stage. Keep an eye out for these events happening in quick succession.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
And you just saw that we confirmed MECO, stage separation, and SES-1 will be coming up shortly on fairing separation.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there we just heard and saw those two fairing halves separating and falling away from the second stage. Both
Stage 1 landing burn.
And there's confirmation that the Stage 1 landing burn has started in preparation for touchdown on our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Expected loss of signal, Cape.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Falcon 9 has successfully landed, marking the 10th successful landing for this booster.
At 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, liftoff.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
At T plus 33 seconds, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40 in Cape Canaveral, Florida at 4:01 p.m. Eastern Time. Next major milestone coming up is max Q, which is the point where the vehicle experiences the greatest amount of external stresses as it ascends through the atmosphere.
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
Just ahead of max Q, we do throttle down the M1D engines briefly to reduce the loads on the vehicle.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Max Q.
And at this point, we have throttled those Merlin 1D engines back up to full power to continue to boost our way into orbit. Now we're about 1 minute away from a very exciting portion of our flight. We have a series of back-to-back events. Those are MECO, or main engine cutoff.
Back engine chill has started.
Stage separation, second engine start 1, and then after that we have fairing separation. MECO is when we shut down all 9 of those Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. Stage separation is when we physically separate the first and second stages from each other. And second engine start 1 is when we light that single Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage. And when we separate the fairings, you will get a good view of those 56 Starlink satellites on our payload.
Vehicle is following a nominal trajectory.
Got some great views here of the first stage ascent.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
And MVAC ignition.
And as you just heard and saw over the nets, we had successful main engine cutoff, stage separation, and second engine start 1. Coming up shortly, we will be separating those 2 fairing halves, and there they go. You can see those Starlink satellites now exposed to the vacuum of space. Just starting to see that drone ship way below the rocket there.
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
Stage 1 landing burn.
There's confirmation stage 1 landing burn has started in preparation for touchdown. Should be seeing those landing legs deploy soon.
Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
There we go. This Falcon 9 first stage has now successfully launched and landed for the 4th time. Coming up in just a few seconds is the end of the second engine burn.